Video được Việt hóa bởi Ngọc Tân từ group tài nguyên dựng phim. Nghiêm cấm các hành vi lít về rồi bán cho thằng khác. Mọi ý kiến đóng góp xin gửi về Facebook Quỳnh Ngọc Tân.
Let's take a look at the layout of the Fusion page in Resolve. Just to give us a clean start, I'll go ahead and restore our archived project and double click to open it. Let's go to, in the media pool, under chapter 7, where it says Fusion page, let's just double click on this timeline here so that we're all dealing with the same stuff. And down at the bottom of the interface, let's click on the Fusion page, and I'll reset our UI so that everyone's looking at the same thing. So here's the layout of the Fusion page. Again, let's start with the common things. Here towards the right, we have this viewer, and this works sort of like our timeline viewer. We'll get into that in just a second. To the left, we have another viewer that also works sort of like our timeline or source viewer, but more on that in a second. Down below the viewers, we have our timeline, and we can scrub back and forth to look at our video. Under that, we have our transport controls to play things back. To the right, we have our inspector, and this works just like it always has in all the other pages. Whatever's selected, its properties show up here. If we go towards the upper left of our interface, we can open up our media pool, which we should be really familiar with by now, as well as our effects, works very much the same way. And we can also open our clips. The clips appear at the bottom of the interface, and we can quickly go to whatever shot that we want in our timeline to adjust it in Fusion. This kind of thing also exists in the color page. We have our different clips, and whatever we click on is the one we're working on. But I'll go ahead and close that for now, because you're generally just worrying about one clip at a time in Fusion. Over here in the upper right-hand corner, we have our metadata panel we can open up, and that works just like the other pages. We also have our keyframes. This is where you'll adjust the timing of things and animation and things like that. Then we also have the spline panel. I'll turn off our keyframes. And this will use a little bit here. This is kind of a graph of the things that are animated. So it's really easy to figure out kind of the speed and distance and everything that things are moving. Normally your interface looks like this. Normally those are all closed, except for the inspector, the viewers, and the nodes. Speaking of which, let's get into those. So the great big problem for a lot of people when it comes to Fusion is the node graph. This is the part of Fusion that can look very intimidating. It's not really similar to the edit or cut pages. There aren't really any layers. It's just this infinite graph with these little boxes on it that doesn't seem like it makes any sense if you haven't used nodes before. But don't worry, because we're going to spend a good amount of time taking things really slow and looking at how nodes work and how we can use them for compositing inside of Fusion. Last part of our interface is this toolbar up here. There's a bunch of different buttons, and each one of these buttons creates a new node. You can grab it and just drag it into the node graph like that. You can also just hit it once and it will create a node. So it's good to know that's there. Of course, we haven't really talked about nodes yet, but that is pretty much everything you need to know about the interface in Fusion.